Hello, and you're very welcome along to another edition of the JMAC podcast. I'm John McMahon, and of course, the podcast is kindly brought to you by orgarech.com. Use my promo code JMAC podcast to get 15% off on the website. And tonight, I'm joined by former Armagh and current Crossboglen footballer Johnny Murtagh to run the rule on all of last weekend's championship action and, of course, this weekend's championship action. So it's lots to talk about. So, really looking forward to chatting to Johnny tonight. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, John. Thanks very much. Great to see you. It's been a few weeks, so it's I did see you in Clonus now, and you're a happy man after the game. Fair play to you. You didn't buy me a pint though.
I wasn't a happy man. I was a happy man with the quality of the game, Johnny, for God's
Yes,
sake.
yes, yes. But yeah, I'm doing well. Thank God, doing
Oh,
well.
Jesus Christ. I don't know. No, I was a happy man with the quality of the game, and I was happy man to meet your friend Willie O'Connor, obviously current Dublin coach there at the minute. He's a top man. Did you catch much of the football over the weekend?
I did. I caught a few games. Didn't obviously with the Tailteann Cup, not showing not showing a whole pile of games. So it's probably they're probably going to need to do something with that, especially when you look at having the GA Go and GA Plus and all this here. But I've seen a good few of the bigger stuff. So looking forward to getting a bit of a chat about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was an exciting weekend of action and loads to go through and loads of talk points. Well, good to see you. We're good form, Johnny. That is the main thing. And then we will crack right into the action over the weekend. Lots of games, as we said, on Saturday in the Tailteann Cup, Johnny, in round two. You had Wicklow against Laois in Ockram. It was Wicklow 21 points, Laois 16 points. Oisin McConville will be absolutely delighted with that win, Johnny. It has to be said. And it's funny, I said to Killian Whelan last week that Wicklow were going to get the job done against his own county, and it was proved right. That's a serious home win.
Unbelievable home win, and like we've talked about this so many times, but Ockram and everything else, it's a seriously tough place. For Ashley McConville, like I seen a lovely picture of me up at the fish clenched after the game. It was a serious win for Ashley. An unbelievable bit of momentum there for Wicklow, and they'll take it and run, John.
No, absolutely no great win now, and I just got a bit of an inkling over the weekend about that one. And then you had Antrim against Limerick in Carrigan Park. It was Limerick 118, Antrim 10 points, Johnny, and obviously a very convincing win there for Limerick. Andy McEntee will be very disappointed with that result, Johnny. Home advantage as well, and Tailteann Cup where Antrim potentially could go on a bit of a run. Jesus, that result does not help things.
Yeah, and I was down at the first round again, Armagh down there, and it was a brilliant occasion. It was packed out, Corrigan Park, and it was lovely. The pitch, everything was fantastic, and they're a nice footballing team. I was impressed with them coming away like they stuck with Armagh for a good period of that game. Like, and I did expect them to have a wee kick, and a wee wind in their sails going into the Tailteann Cup, and it's an awful bad performance, John. It has to be said. When you consider some of the caliber of players that they do have, they're going to be disappointed with that. But like Limerick's a big, strong team, and they're a big, able team, and they probably got a run on them. It's a game that I actually wouldn't mind seeing, believe it or believe it not, because I'd like to just see what Anthem really had out there, and was it just a case of they just didn't take their chances. So, unfortunately, I didn't get to see it. But I was definitely shocked with that result. I actually would have probably went with Antrim for the home win.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would have, Johnny, without a shadow of a doubt. And it was the next game, you had Tipperary against Kildare. It was Tipperary 111, Kildare 319 in Clonmel. Very good win for Kildare here, Johnny, has to be said. They really stretched their legs. And I suppose, as I was saying to Killian Whelan last week, the Kildare are favourites, one of the favourites for this Tailteann Cup, make no doubt about it. But very good win. Obviously, probably expected that result, but I think the big thing for Kildare is, to approach this competition professionally and do get to the final. Don't F it up, I suppose. Get the job done. Get the silverware back to Kildare. And my God, they could be doing with a bit of silver.
Yeah, and look, they're going to be massive favourites for that competition, and that's calling a spade a spade. I think Daniel Flynn was probably playing and put up a big score. I think you seen you saying, John.
Mm.
Like the caliber of them boys they would have whenever they get into top gear, especially at that level. There's no doubt about it. They've been underperforming for what Kildare is capable of, and you've seen them a few years ago. Um, they're slipping back a right bit, but they're a big, strong, able team, and if you let them play football, John, they'll shoot the lights out, and that's exactly what happened the weekend. And Tipperary at times aren't too shabby. Probably a lot stronger a couple of years ago when there's some of the stalwarts there, but still, the Tip's a big strong team as well. But to put up a score like that from Kildare is phenomenal bit of scoring, and they're going to take stopping at that level.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think if they do get to the latter rounds of that competition, it'll be very interesting to see what way Kildare approach it. But they are surely one of the contenders of that Tailteann Cup, make no doubt about it. And then you had Waterford against Offaly. It was Waterford 113, Offaly 118 at Walsh Park. Good win for Offaly. Waterford are getting ever so closely to taking a big scalp, Johnny. That day will come. I hope that day does come for Paul Shanky, good Mead man there, managing Waterford, fair play to him. But it's getting closer and closer.
Yeah, we're looking at a good steady win for Offaly, but Waterford's always real sticky to play against, and they'll battle. They're another team like Wicklow, they'll battle and battle and battle, and they sort of never know when they're beaten. They will take a scalp. So somebody's going to be caught some of the days. And it's tough. It's not easy for Waterford down there, and they're plugging away, So listen, Offaly's put in a massive amount of work over the last number of years, especially at underage, and they're sort of reaping the rewards a wee bit like that too. They'll be targeting it as well, John. They'll be targeting a wee bit of run in the competition as well, the same as we said about Kildare. So look at it. It wasn't that convincing of a win, but it's a win nevertheless, and moving on to the next one.
Yeah, no, Offaly will be happy with that. I think it's all about getting through these Tailteann Cup games for the players and management team. And Sunday's action in the Tailteann Cup, Johnny, in round 2, you had Leitrim against Sligo. It was Leitrim 118, Sligo 219 in Carrick and Shannon. It's been a controversial year for Leitrim, to say the least, Johnny, for Stevie Poacher as well. I think that's the performance of the season, especially at home. And in fairness, a lot of people probably expected Leitrim to put him in that sort of performance. And look, their season is probably nearly over at this stage. And I suppose go down fighting.
Yeah, look at it. It was a good, honest performance by them, and I suppose Sligo has been a wee bit Jekyll and Hyde at times. We a couple of club mates are there with Aaron and Tony McEntee as the manager, and Aaron's doing a bit of work in the backroom team. So look at they got the job done all right, but they've had mixed results, and I'm sure Tony has got a great song out of them there for the last couple of seasons, and they've had some big results. But I suppose this year they just haven't hit the levels that I think Tony would be happy with. And they're like Kildare and like Offaly. They're another team that they'll be looking to try and build a wee bit of momentum in there, John, and try and get a couple of big results in this competition. So I was delighted for the two boys to get the win. And look at obviously Stevie and that has been frustrating to say the least. There's a lot of stuff in the media, a lot of stuff in the goings on, a lot of guys stepped away, and a lot of ex players had a lot to say on it. It's not easy. It's very tough business. And you could nearly be safe to say that I suppose probably the end of the season they might be parting ways either direction. But look at it's a tough job, and I feel for Stephen because he puts in an awful effort to it. I know him personally, and he does. He's a massive heart, and but it's a dog eat dog business. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. But they put up an honest performance, but Sligo was just seeing it over and got convincing. And a good scoring, John, has to be said. It was a high scoring game by both teams. So Tony would be delighted about 219.
I thought John McEntee was managing Sligo according to Daisy Dolan.
Oh, yeah, well, look at poor I did see that, and look at Desi be forgiven.
In fair, it was in fairness, like when I did let you know about that last night. Ah, man, I think it could have been about 11:30. Like, look, an easy mistake to make, Daisy. We forgive you.
Well, I remember us playing a big game, and I seen John McEntee getting 2 yellow cards and St. Knox sent off. So I think there was a bit of a mix-up on one of them. So look,
They
he'll
are
be
the
forgiven
spit.
for that.
Yeah,
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 he'll
they
be
are.
forgiven for that.
Yeah, they are. And just on the McEntees, Johnny, and I know obviously just not to get too sidetracked, but what an incredible pair of players for Crossmaglen over the years. And obviously, Rian O'Neill said, was it around this time last year they would have been doing, was it John McEntee kicks in the back garden? And obviously, you probably aspired to be like them pair of gentlemen. Pay tribute to the McEntees.
Yeah, and you hit the nail on the head, gentlemen. Unbelievable pair of characters. Serious club men, put in serious effort, serious men for football, unbelievable players. I enjoyed seeing the pair of boys out on another club mate. Cal Short was there as well. Actually, the 2000 team was out at the Ulster final, and they were giving a wave to the crowd and stuff at half time, and it was refreshing to see Tony and John, and the pair of boys look great. So
Mm.
yeah, two absolute gentlemen. Which is funny, it was literally 15 minutes before this. I was chatting to John, so
Yeah.
a nice fella, and would never pass you. So
Mm.
I'm glad Tony's putting in good work in the football, and so is John. So they're doing all right.
Mm. Is John over anyone this year?
Yeah, John's within the scheme
Oh, still,
in
still
Cavan.
with
Yeah,
them. Very good.
still with them. Yeah, yeah. He's took a couple of clubs in County Monaghan, and it's a great setup in Monaghan, and he loves it. He's doing a fantastic job, and he done a fantastic job with Clontarf as well. Has to be said. So he's
Mm.
a top man, is John.
Yeah, the McEntees absolutely make no doubt about it. And then the other action in Tull Cup over the weekend, Johnny, it was London 110, Westmeath 26 points in Ruislip. Very good win for Westmeath. And I suppose obviously Luke Loughlin scoring 117 the last day, Johnny, incredible score. And he's really enjoying these new rules. Great to see him playing great football. Obviously, he's had his few bits and bobs in the past, and it's really good to see him kind of, flying at them, I suppose. And obviously Derek McCabe is really probably lighting up the scene for him. But that's a good win for Westmeath. And again, Johnny, you're looking at Tailteann Cup favourites.
Yeah, they're another team that's in the conversation. Luke Loughlin's a serious bowler, like you said. The new rule suits him down the ground. The man has a foot on like a sledgehammer, and he's extremely accurate. And like Ruislip can be hit and miss. It's a tricky place to go and play, and it was a very convincing win by Westmeath, and Dermot's going to be delighted. They'll be very happy to come out there. It's always a cagey game whenever you're going over there. It's very cagey. The setup, you have airports, hotels, the logistics of it all, John. So they'll just be delighted to get in there, get the job done. There'll be a big crowd at that game. It would have been feisty enough on the way in. You have to go through the crowd to get onto the field and everything else like that. So it's feisty. He'll be just delighted to get the job done and out of there and on to the next one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a tough place to go to, and I tell you what, it's a great spot for a bit of crack as well. I think some teams have bloody got lost on the way home, lost on the way home at times there, Johnny from London.
I maybe ended up in Cricketwood or somewhere. But hey, them things is known to happen. I got lost one night with myself, so we're not really saying much more about that.
Yeah. Look at you, the medals to show for it anyway, Johnny. So look at you could have your crack, but you could mix it. You could mix it. And then we'll move on to Carlow against Wexford in Netwatch Cullen Park. It was Carlow 216, Wexford 119. Johnny, big shout out to Joe Murphy here, obviously replacing Kate Curran in this particular job for Carlow. He's really up the ante, he's up standards, and obviously Joe had such success with the NA senior footballers as well. And obviously, look, it's stepping in there. Carlow are up against it, population wise, probably quality wise, so on and so forth. But that's a good win at the weekend.
Yeah, it's a serious scoring. Another game with big, massive scoring as well, and again down to the rules. Joe's done a great job there, stepping in there. It's no easy gig. So they'll be absolutely delighted with that, John. But it could have swung either way the way that game was going there. So, but they'll definitely relieved to get over the line.
Oh no, absolutely. He can be very thankful for how things are going at the minute. And then the last game of the weekend in the Tailteann Cup, Johnny, it was Longford against Fermanagh. It was Longford 7 points, Johnny. Fermanagh 219 in Glennon Brothers Pierce Park. Good win for Fermanagh on the road. They'll be absolutely delighted with that. But my Jesus, that is not going to make the Longford public happy.
No, it's not going really to plan down there, and Fermanagh, probably the last number of years been renowned for a wee bit on the defensive side, but they have Kieran sort of let them loose there in a couple of games, and you see the sort of scoring potential that they have there. Like it's some pegging in that as well. And this we keep saying this with these new rules, like there is teams, and it was actually the games have been good. It's been a whole lot fitter. Really suits county football, but we are seeing that there's certain teams there that's coming out on the wrong side of the big hammers, John, and
Yeah.
I don't know how we're ever going to fix that. We will. There's probably a conversation to be had for another day. Like Parkinson, Wooly hit the nail on the head on a few points he made about, I know it was a wee bit tongue in cheek and probably wasn't happy with Ulster football, but with the handball and everything else. But I do get the argument in what he's putting out the fishing rod for a wee bit of clickbait, but I do get the argument in what he's saying. The teams are still, whenever it comes down the stretch, John, when the games are really, really going to matter, you're still going to have that ball going over and back the arc, and it's going to be so patient. The build up's going to be very, very slow. You're going to see games clocks getting run down now. Like we've seen it for almost 4 minutes, 3 and 4 minutes, clock running down. So it's a tricky one to actually know what to do about it. In saying that, the game has improved in certain areas, um, but we're not really going to know where it's at until you have the knockout football and everything's on the line. And then I think you could see the caginess again.
Yeah, no, I did notice that from the Ulster final that, like, even like I know Armagh, like it just took patience and it just you had to work the score, protect the ball. But the way Donegal probably did set up that kind of defensive, and Donegal, in fairness, at times, like it was very hard for maybe Armagh to break down, for any team to break down, and for any team to be playing Donegal this year. But like that defensive stuff still is very much alive and well in football, and at times Jesus, it frustrates you, obviously, watching on from I know obviously Armagh could only do so much and hold on to the ball, but my Jesus, Johnny, it could be very tough to watch. You thought the new rules was going to be getting rid of this stuff, but it's still very much alive and well.
Yeah, well, it's back to what we're saying. Like the Loud game the following day was similar. You had periods of that game which is the exact same, Loud and Mead, where it got so cagey, it got so and them's were the games where both teams really wanted to win. You had provincial championship on the line, and that's just a snippet of what we're going to see coming down the tracks. So there is going to be a couple of games here where it's going to come out a wee bit negative on it. But I think on the whole, I think the majority of the rules has went okay. Like I don't like I said it in our group chat about the likes of the 2 pointers and stuff in club football. People's calling me assholes. That's fine. It doesn't
It's
like
benefiting you.
it's benefiting me, and I still do with it at club football. So I just think at club football it's a lot different than county. Like county, and I know you can't separate the two. This is the problem you're going to have. Like so, it's a conversation. It's a funny conversation. Like, but I just think at club football, I think in championship you're going to have teams getting an unbelievable slaughter.
Oh God, yeah, that's right, yeah.
Yeah, and there's nobody coming out on the right side of that. Like,
Yeah,
so and it's
yeah.
very hard. It'd be very hard to keep younger fellas in wee bit in twos and keep them at it for certain clubs.
Mm,
It's okay for the bigger clubs,
mm,
but I think for some of the smaller ones, it could get a wee bit tough, and not even like the referees are getting it very very tough. Like, and I
mm,
know from still
mm,
playing that
mm.
it's very very difficult. So back to the Fermanagh game.
Yeah.
It was a serious big result, but like after Longford taking a hiding like that, it's going to be very difficult for some of these teams to try and scramble up players.
Yeah, but like that result shouldn't have happened. Like that, there's not much of a difference between Fermanagh and Longford at this
Yeah, but it
rate.
did happen.
It did
Yeah,
happen, but how? Like, I don't understand how the hell at
yeah.
home as
Well,
well.
this is what I'm saying, and like Donny's done a great job with them, like I said, and they're well set up and they're good. They're tenacious, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
found a couple of footballers. He's there a good few years, and he's worked his system, and
Mm,
he's done a good job. So
mm,
look, it was very convincing when they're another team that's in the conversation. They,
yeah,
they can maybe dog it out, but I suspect it could come up short.
yeah, Yeah, I think there's just maybe one or well, obviously a great result at the weekend, but I don't know. Like, and I know Sean Quigley's he's left the building a couple of years. Well, about 2 years now at this stage. But I think even someone of his ilk, that star forward for Fermanagh, I think is probably what they are are missing compared like to Westmeath and Kildare in the Tailteann Cup. I think that's what Fermanagh probably are missing
Well,
compared to them two teams.
Sean Quigley could be in the chipper and Monaghan and drink 4 or 5 pints before a game and still go out there and kick 3 2 pointers.
Mm,
That's because the rules allows him to do that. Like,
yeah, yeah.
that's the harsh reality.
Yeah, what a man. Was it before the Laois qualifier game 2-12? He had a big pizza the night before. Like that's
Yeah.
S&C coaches we be ripping you apart at the minute for that. Like
He before Monaghan a good number of years ago. He was out in Monaghan the week before, and he had a
a
feed
week before. That's not too
a
bad.
week before, and he had a feed of points, and the boys were all laughing and blah blah whatever. And he went out and racked the place. I think he got 11 or 12 points the next week.
You couldn't do that now. You couldn't like you'd be killed.
No,
You'd be
no, but
killed.
what
It's a pity.
what a man!
It's a pity to
What a
see him
man!
gone. Like we talk about character within the game, and we talk about a bit of camaraderie, a bit of crack. And look at Johnny, you know yourself better than anyone. Like it probably is a bit serious now the game at the minute. Like and like I was kind of sad to see Sean Quick. Like I know Kieran and him maybe don't see eye to eye at the minute, and that's fine. We all don't see eye to eye with managers, but it is a pity not to see him about the place at the minute.
Yeah, well, look at he's an unbelievable talent,
He
but I
loves these new
suppose
rules.
yeah. Oh, absolutely made from. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, made from. And but look, it's Kieran's brought in standards, and that's what he's done, and it's across the board, and it's off a level playing field, and
Mm,
that's it. Everybody has to toe the line or they'll not be there. So that's
mm,
that's
mm,
his regime, and it's working from at the moment.
mm.
Everybody's singing off the one hymn sheet.
Mm. Yeah, well, he's obviously with the Fermanagh Miners there, so he's parting his knowledge elsewhere. But look, Sean Quigley, you are an incredible footballer. Who knows? He could be back next year. You wouldn't know. It'll be interesting to see. And then we'll move on to Saturday's All Ireland Senior Football Championship Round One action. Johnny, we're at this juncture. It's summertime. It's All Ireland time. It was Galway against Dublin. It was Galway 2-14. Dublin 1-18 in Pearse Stadium in Galway. My Jesus, Johnny, the cat is amongst the pigeons once again. Dublin not gone away. They have bet one of the All Ireland contenders, Johnny. My Jesus, poor Joyce after the game. I don't know. Did you watch the interview with Sancha? He was like, it was a funny owl interview. Like he obviously had 7 or 8 journalists around him. It looked like he could have went south fairly quickly. It looked like he wanted to upload and just talk to people. Like it just, there's so many avenues that interview could have went down. I love listening to him. I have so much time for poor Joyce. But look, he'll not be happy this week. I think the Galway lads could be in for a tough 2 weeks of training. But look, a great result for Dublin. I was delighted for Desi Farrell after the game. I was watching Paddy Andrews on the podcast during the week, and he was basically defending Desi Farrell's honour, and Tommy was kind of fishing it, kind of saying that, there could be a replacement coming down the line. And Paddy says, look, he's won 2 All-Irelands. He deserves to be there. Great win at the weekend. And in fairness, Desi can give the middle finger up to a lot of pundits this week.
Yeah, and that old saying, we still haven't gone away, and that's just it, and that's Dublin flexed on muscles a wee bit, and they showed why there's so many All Ireland winners in the squad, and that was the difference. Like you look at the performance of Ciarán Kilkenny, and I know everybody's talking about it, but it was a phenomenal performance. Every blade of grass in the field he covered,
Yeah.
and he was still mad for action. So it was. I tell you, it was a thoroughly enjoyable game. I loved every minute of it. It was entertaining. Yeah, look at PJ probably clutching at straws a wee bit, but in fairness to him, he says what's on his mind, and he'll tell you what he's thinking, and that's the way he rolls. And he's done a phenomenal job the last few years, but
Mm.
it was like Big O'Duffy born in midfield. He caused so much bother. The big man, like John, like I remember saying to someone beside me, we were watching the house, and I was like, "Is John? Did everybody see John Maher that first half there? Like a man who's normally always in the middle of the action, in the thick of the action, in getting on lots of ball, causing lots of bother, going forward." Like he was just having a hard time, in around that middle third. Like Gallo was having, the at times they couldn't get the ball. Your man was just fetching and fetching and fetching, or Dublin was winning break ball, and they were under the pump at times. And we've seen them flex their muscles a few times. We've seen Walsh with a lovely jink to one side and back onto the left and over the bar, and a phenomenal score for a 2-pointer. We've seen flashes. Rob Fernley as well. We've seen flashes of brilliance from him as well, and different things like that. But Dublin for me were full value. Definitely full value. Clarkson had a strong enough game. Bar probably a bit of a mix-up just for the goal. Managed to get it palmed in. I don't really know what happened there. The ball actually took a funny bounce. Just before that, and I probably thought maybe Clucko should have came and took all with him, but it's one of them things. It was just a funny ball inside. But Dublin was full value, I thought, for the win. And I tell you that they're going to be a dangerous animal. Probably it looks like Con maybe got a bit of a hefty injury out of it, which is going to be a massive blow to Dublin. Probably a funny talking point, John, is probably what's the story with Paul Conroy and what's the story with Shane Walsh going off. I thought that was strange. He didn't look to be injured, and I know he missed one or two, but when the game got down the stretch into the melting pot, you're sort of saying to yourself, here, this could be a wee bit premature here. He could be needed to kick a 2-point or maybe for the winner. So like Dublin, don't get me wrong, the game did get back tight, and Dublin, like, you don't see that with Galway defence. This is another thing that you don't see. Like, in fairness to John Maher and them guys, they came into the game great the second half, and he plugged forward then. But the first half done the damage for him, I thought. But like, how the Dublin man got free in an acre of space on the last kick of the ball, like when they were walking around, it was very unlike Galway to switch off like that. They're normally in defence, they're rock solid, but a couple of times Dublin cut them wide open.
Yeah.
Like the likes there's a man that we wouldn't have heard too much about, McGuinness. He caused them serious bother the first half. He was running that Galway, and it didn't really, big, strong, able man, didn't really know what to do with him.
Yeah.
Caused an unbelievable amount of bother, and got on the score sheet as well. I think he maybe got 2 points. But he was so dangerous because he was very unusual for what Galway was going to do with him. He was direct. He was hitting men. He was bouncing off men. He was a big fella. So I think Dublin will take a lot out of that. And listen, we'll just worry about the weekend. But Dublin Tails are going to be up in Croke Park now in a couple of weeks, and it's a total opposite for Galway because Derry is now licking their chops too, because whatever happens the weekend, they're still saying in the back of the head, we have two massive cracks here. We have a crack at Armagh the weekend, after the disappointment of an Ulster final and going to extra time, and they'll be sort of hoping Armagh might be freshened up fully yet, and then they've Galway coming up with potentially a couple of injuries, John, and they're coming up to the Lions then, and Derry's going to be all over that one, and that's going to be a clinker.
Yeah. No, I think Galway, they will be very disappointed with that game at the weekend. And obviously, you talk about home advantage, and obviously Dublin coming to town. And like, my Jesus, Johnny, like, it goes to show, like, this Dublin, like, it's, Meath beat them in that Leinster semi-final, and we think, okay, Jesus, like, we'll just write Dublin's obituary and we'll do this, we'll do that. I think as Pork Joyce said after the game, they have 7 or 8 of the best uppers we've probably seen of all time, and to still be waxing lyrical about Stephen Cluxton, and is he 42 or 43 years of age, like, and playing senior football for 24 years now, I think, is that accurate? Like, so just, they're not going away, and that's a really good win at the weekend. They'll get so much confidence. Like, Pearse Stadium is a very, very tough place to go to. Salt Hill, they'll be, and Galway will be very disappointed. I think from the Dublin end of things, though, like, it's mad to be saying it, but they're back in the hunt once again.
The thing about Dublin is, and this is really what it comes down to, and I'm a big fan of Galway, by the way. And we say it on the group all the time, and I'd be very fond of them, and even towards Hanley and all, I say it. I've always been fond of Galway, but like the real difference it comes down to is that, and even with Stephen Cluxon,
Yeah.
you're dealing with winners here.
That's it,
Like
yeah.
they're putting on a jersey every day, and the first thing in their mind is that we can win a game.
Mm,
There's no doubt whatsoever that they can win it because they've done it so many times. They've
mm,
been All Ireland champions so many times. So that wee bit of doubt doesn't come into their mind, but it does come into Galway's because they've been down the stretch so many times and they haven't got over the line. And they've been unlucky not to get over it. They're unlucky against us. Different things just hasn't went their way. And for a team like Dublin, and I'm not discrediting Meath either. Meath done very well against Dublin, and we're full value for the win. But all Dublin's eggs weren't in that basket, and that's why for me, I think the provincials has run the course. They've run the course, and it's not because Armagh got lost. Because I've said this long time
even before,
before,
yeah.
long time before.
Mm,
Nothing to do with that. They've run the course because it's not a fair playing field, and that's a story or a podcast for another day. Because we could trash this out for ages about the provincials, but I don't think it's a level playing field for every team in Ireland.
yeah.
It's not because you know you've a
Well,
couple of teams there that really weren't. Dublin wasn't that bothered about the provincial. They were getting themselves ready for a crack
but
at the big one, and that's it.
oh no, 100%. And look, I think that as I keep saying to anyone talking about football over the weekend, like the next few weekends will tell a tale about where Sam will be going. But like if you look at the provincials, and as you rightly said, it's the conference there for another day. But if you go through the provinces, Johnny, like look in Ulster, right? At this moment in time, and like let's be frank about it, it's a waste of time for Antrim, for Mana, even ourselves to a degree. At times, how you can play in Ulster, going for an Angus Cup at the minute. I think even who else in Ulster there, even Derry kind of come back to the pack there as well. You look at Leinster, like Wicklow, Offaly, who else is in Wicklow there? Who else is in Wicklow that really wouldn't be in a shout of it? You could get Westmeath to a degree until they get their full ducks in a row too. And look at Munster, Limerick's not going to be winning one, Tipperary's not going to be winning one, Waterford's not going to be winning one. You look at Connacht, you have Mayo, Common, and Galway, and who else have you in Connacht? Who's the other two teams in Connacht? You have is it?
Sligo.
Yeah, like so. Look,
Sligo's dropped in obviously the other competition, but
yeah, so like for them teams, it's a complete and utter waste of time. So, like as you rightly, and in fairness, and not because Armagh have once since '08, like they have, and Finian Hanley is the same opinion. They have ran their course, but look, yeah,
they've ran their course, and how, like, if anybody wants to have the argument with me, I'll predict it now. We'll see how many teams reach the knockout All Ireland series, and we'll just count the many from Ulster
yeah,
compared to the rest of Ireland.
mm-hmm.
And then somebody can say to me, it's a fair ball game. It ain't fair ball game.
Yeah,
Every team in Ireland has to play the same amount of games and have to play an honest seeded. You need to have an honest seeded championship. Otherwise, what's the point? So the provincials for me has to go.
yeah,
Like for many years, I've been witnessed down in Munster where Kerry maybe only had to play 2 games to win a Munster, and
mm,
up and also they're slaughtering other.
mm.
And that's it. One thing
But
about the system they've done now, John, in fairness to them, they've made it a wee bit fairer because now other Ulster teams are fit to get into the All Ireland series and get in with a shout for it, considering it's so competitive. But looking at many of them you're going to have in the knockout stages, and where do we see? I'd say there'll be at least 6.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I suppose kind of final thoughts on this game, Johnny. Dublin will be very happy this week, and I think a lot of hard work probably went into that game, and. But again, the Galway camp, they will be very disappointed. And you made a very good point there about Shane Walsh. And I was talking to Finian Handy, our current pundit, earlier on, and he was basically saying that Shane Walsh is carrying a bit of a knock. But I don't know, he just didn't look in the last couple of games. He was in the stand, sitting away from things, and just look a bit disinterested. And he's after picking up another knock. And obviously, Damien Comer. Oh, he's getting his yearly injury at this stage. And I think, as Finian said on the podcast there about a month or so ago, like now you need to be humming. Now you need to be fit. You need to be top of the pops. And Johnny, you know better than anyone to be picking up injuries at this time of year, especially with the condensed season. It just won't cut the mustard. And I know injuries are preventable, but I think from an S&C point of view, it can't be happening
No,
now.
for me, he wasn't stretching off that field. He should have been still on that field, whether he's on one leg. He should have been on that field to get the job done, and
Yeah,
that's it. And I don't buy it any which way, two ways about it. If he was looking off, it's a shame on him because he should have went the course, just in case that free kick come up that was needed for a 2-pointer. And that was a difference in that game. It was that final margins it came down to, and they could have got out of there with something. Instead, now they have to try and go to Derry. Like if he continued on that game, and then instead of the break, like if Galway had got the win there, so Walsh could have sat out the next game. Do you know, like,
yeah,
and then he could have waited for the Armagh game. So there's different things, but he wasn't stretched off. He walked off. He didn't limp off. He wasn't hurling himself coming off. Maybe a bit of a niggle, but for me, it wasn't enough, John. To be honest with
yeah.
you, we've all played the game and we've all played through stuff, but it wasn't just enough for me. But look, it is what it is, and Dublin deserved the win. In fairness to them, Galway's going to be sore. They're going to be very sore, and PJ is going to be extremely sore, and then boys will be in for it. And
Oh
look at
God,
this.
but
They still a serious volley of players there.
of
Unbelievable
course they
players.
do. And they're not like we're not obviously like they are still all Ireland contenders, make no doubt about it. But like, Jesus, Johnny, I'd love to be a fly in the wall in the
And
Galway.
yeah, but still, it wasn't a crowd of donkeys that bet them. Like, you know what I mean? It
No,
was, it
no,
was
100%, yeah.
Yeah, it was some of the guys that was on the best team maybe of all time.
Mm,
Like, and that's I know there's guys that stepped away and probably lacked at different times a bit of character, a bit of this, bit of that, but there's still life in the old dog yet, and Dublin's serious dark horses for this All Ireland. Beyond the no illusion, they're going to be bang there,
oh yeah,
especially after that result, because yes, if they can get back to Croke Park, John, they're a dangerous animal in there.
God,
So
yeah, yeah.
there's nobody gonna want to play them in there, not unless it's Armagh. But
Oh, Jesus Christ, here we go.
yeah, but listen, yeah, if you want to win it, you have to beat them all.
You have to beat the best. You have to beat the best. But yeah, like, and in fairness, like, I don't know, was that match rigged or whatever? Does Paddy Andrews he lets on that he's no knowledge of what's going on within the camp, but he looked convinced and he was sounded convinced Dublin were going to beat Galway. He literally looked like he could have put the
Well,
house on it. He
yeah,
knew, he knew.
well, I knew they weren't far away because I knew they played a game in DCU the week before on the Saturday.
Against Monaghan,
Um,
wasn't it?
it was, and they were absolutely humming. They were flying. Um, and some of the now I heard from a dub, and I said to a modern man, and he said that they were surprised. So
Mm.
about how well they operated. So the Dublin man was extremely happy with the way they performed. I'm not saying who he is or either man, but look at they were happy, and they were moving well, and they took a lot, and clearly they were because they come down there, they go down to Salt Hill and get a result like that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
They went down and they meant business, and they took care of business, and
yeah,
I have to hand it to Desi. In fairness
yeah.
to him, he got the job done.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, without a shadow of doubt, and he will be a very happy man going to train it this week. And then the other action in the All Ireland Senior Football Championship on Saturday, it was Kerry 318, Roscommon 17 points in Fitzgerald Stadium. Probably foregone conclusion, unfortunately, Johnny. Roscommon, I think everyone really the dog in the street tipped Kerry for this win. It was a very good Kerry performance once again, and Mr. David Clifford, Paulie Clifford having very good games. I think predictable kind of result in the end, unfortunately, and obviously very difficult place for the Roscommon lads to go. Clarity is a very tricky spot to go, and then to have the juggernaut of Kerry. But I suppose where are Kerry at after this game, or are we going to see them? Yes, you know.
No, we don't know. We don't know where they're at, and that's the God's honest truth. And I'd be very fond of Kerry, as you know, a good footballing team and footballing county and stuff. And O'Neill and Jack has them moving well, in fairness, but we haven't learned anything off them, and that's because bar Cork,
Mm.
giving them a serious game. We haven't seen anything else, and that's what I'm saying here. But these provincials and stuff, like, it's just too hard, and probably a wee bit unfair on Kerry too, because it's
Sure,
hard for them to
but
know where they're at.
you can only
Yeah,
dance with the women in the ballroom.
yeah, you're going to dance the girls and dance all. That's right. So look at like and look at. There's no point in saying Roscommon haven't hit the heights that they've had a few years ago, and I think Davy's probably getting as much out of them as what he can. Unfortunately for Davy, nice fella, and he was saying he's very passionate.
I'd say it's his last kick, is it?
Yeah, I'd say it could be, unfortunately, and maybe he might probably look at maybe something else, or maybe head for Kildare. But
Oh, Brian Flanagan.
yeah, look at Brian's doing nothing wrong, but he's they're going to need to win that B championship, the Tailteann Cup for me. I know you don't like me saying B championship, but
No, I PTSD, post traumatic stress from that fucking competition.
oh yeah, sorry, I forgot about
Oh,
that.
sorry. No, sorry. Go on, Johnny. Keep going. What were we saying the day
Yeah,
before?
yeah, I forgot about that. Forgot about that. Sorry, that's a touchy subject. But anyway, we'll get you a wee miniature Sam Maguire and send it up to you, alright?
Well, I lifted the fake Liam McCarthy today. I don't think we'll ever be able to lift one of them in Cavan. But sure, look, go on, Johnny.
Yeah, but look, they're going to need to get that job done, and nobody stays in jobs forever anyway. Like, Davy's well experienced with them at underage and stuff, and but look, that's another thing for another day. He's still there. He's still the manager and everything else. And they're going to lick their wounds and go on to the next one. But it was, this is the thing with Kerry, and it's the rules again. The change of rules, like, you know, Shawnee O'Shea is back in the Kerry team. Like, the thing about Clifford is majority of the time he's inside, and I know he kicked a couple of 2 pointers, kicked a great one out along the sideline, unbelievable, and I actually fancied him for the next one, which I thought was a bit easier, and he leaned back too far and missed it. But like,
He's a freak. Jesus
yeah,
Christ, what he could do with a ball. It's off
it's
like it.
unbelievable.
And,
That was as good a score as you'll see. The one out the sideline, the
but it
pen he
just
put in that is just phenomenal,
yeah,
phenomenal score.
and I know we've talked about him, and like, look, he deserves all the praise because he's just a complete genius. But like, I know obviously Johnny, like, you were one of the probably the best club forwards in years gone by for across Glen, like, and we all have to admire good forwards in the past. But what David Clifford, like, just when he gets time and space, like, I think it's Johnny. It's getting to a stage. Is he looking at the posts?
I don't. He just knows where they are, and good players 9 times out of 10 they know where they are. They know the position on the field because they've done it that many times from the angles. He just angles. She has seen him with that pass he done. Last year the ball out along the sideline, like a phenomenal pass a year or two ago. Like, you just his awareness is unbelievable. The man's
Jesus.
fit to buy, and for the size of a big fella like him, he
Mm.
can buy space inside the phone box.
Oh,
With
stop.
a bounce to the side or like a swivel, and he can.
The bounce is genius. Like, I think it was a
Oh,
Ray Boyne, the former Dublin analysis. Like, he was doing a bit of work on Clifford, and like, oh, like, if you're a young player, like any player, like even you, Johnny, like, you're probably learning the Clifford, I'd say.
oh, sure, everybody's learning from every day is a school day. Like, and there's guys like that you want to see, but he's a phenomenal talent. So some of the stuff that he does is freaky. Like, so, but for him, the majority of the time will be inside, and he's taking watching.
Yeah.
It's freeing up guys out on the periphery of this new arc.
Mm.
And you seen the first half, like, Roscommon got turned over and they got punished. Like, Shawnee O'Shea with two big 2 pointers. Like, this is what's going to happen. And that's why I think they're dangerous. If we can get that man fully fit again, don't be playing him in a full forward. Play him out in centre half forward, and have him that if he's around that arc, the same as Oisin O'Neill or Rain O'Neill or these guys, them boys are fit to kick 2 pointers, and that's
Mm.
and that's the difference. And like, I was still. I would hold a few question marks over the Kerry defence, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that's a day. Yeah, that
Um,
is. And look, the man was coming scored.
yeah, and I thought Joe O'Connor had a serious game as well. Um, I think he probably was, I think he was maybe playing wing forward, was he?
Mm,
It's a phenomenal place to put him, and I thought it was genius.
mm,
Like he's going to be very dangerous in there as well. And then
yeah,
you've Party as well, who's been probably the best player all season.
yeah,
So it's they're going to be extremely dangerous, and they're going to be bang there.
yeah, yeah. And look, at as the old saying goes, we're not going to unfortunately see the Kerry we all really want to see. And like you talk about tests like that, even like we thought potentially Roscommon could have put up a better test, but again, it's just that old age old thing of going up to Killarney and trying to put in the performance. Like as you rightly said, logistically about getting to these games, the travel time, this, that, and the other. Like logistically, going to Killarney is a fucking nightmare.
Oh, it's fantastic! I love going to
Or when
Killarney.
you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like it's
One of my favorite places in Ireland.
I know, like,
Ireland.
like from an enjoyment point of view, but from a football point of view, Johnny, for
Oh, so why would you not want to go and play football in it? Jeez, it's unbelievable. Yeah,
5 hour round trip.
for phenomenal. But
Oh,
I
fair
think
enough.
guys are all hotel and everything else now, John. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's like one thing. If you're going to play Kerry and Kerry,
Mm.
you have to be ready for a battle,
Oh,
and
without a doubt, yeah.
that's starting point. And I thought Roscommon just went around the business a wee bit too nice. They should have been in Kerry's face. They should have been, yeah, hammer to hammer, as I say, especially down in Kerry. And Kerry ain't soft. They are
No,
not soft. They
no.
never have been, and they never, I don't think, will be. So you need to fight fire with fire down there. And unfortunately, just Kerry got the run, which they do on lots of teams, and they'll put you away hard when you give them a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. Routine victory for Kerry, has to be said. And Johnny, moving on to Sunday's action in the All Ireland Senior Football Championship, round one, the most important game of the weekend. It was Cavan against Mayo. It was Cavan 117, Mayo 114 in McHale Park. Well, Johnny Murta, I am one happy man today. Jesus Christ, I couldn't believe it. I was down and supporting our ladies down in say Oma in St. Healy or Healy Park, Oma, and the results were coming through, and I couldn't believe it. I got a weird inkling before the game. I hope you put a few pound of Cavan. You probably didn't listen to me as usual. But the boys in blues are singing the song.
Yeah, it's a damn right deplorable disgrace. That's what it is.
Now tell me what you hate us.
Jimmy was right all along, referee sitting in the middle of Mayo somewhere drinking his pint. But look at it, unbelievable win by Cavan, and hey, full value, very impressive,
Yeah,
and actually, you know, I enjoyed watching the game back. The tore Mayo apart. They
hard to believe.
absolutely tore Mayo apart.
Hard
I
to
tell you,
believe.
there was some phenomenal scores, and the goal took the bad luck off it from Aidan O'Shea near the end of the game. To be honest with
Mm,
you, like
mm.
Cavan was very, very convincing. Great to see Paddy Lynch back on and got a good point as well. Back after serious injury and probably back a wee bit early. Fair play to him. He's put the work in. Um, but some of the Cavan lads at serious games. Faulkner had a great game. I think was it Brady playing number 6.
Here on the Hall of Brady, yeah.
Yeah, unbelievable game. He went straight up through the middle, and he set the standard from the start of that game.
He does
Up
that.
through the middle, up through the middle like a steam train.
Yeah, he
You
does that,
know,
yeah.
yeah, and the goal came from him in the second half as well, down through the middle again. Running at, asking the question.
Mm.
And runners coming off him. And that's where the goal came from. A phenomenal game he had. But there was you know, even Kieran's big 2-pointer as well when they were kicking for home.
Uh,
In the last 10 minutes, unbelievable 2-pointer to turn the screw.
Ocean
You
Kieran,
know,
yeah.
Oisin Kieran, serious talent as well, and there was other guys getting in the act. And Cavan does have that. When Cavan has talent, and if you take your foot off the gas, they will absolutely destroy you. And they were full value for the win. I was very impressed with him now, John. I have to say, I actually felt that, to be honest with you, it was probably a 3-point hiding. You know,
Yeah.
Cavan by 6 or 7 probably would have been a fair assessment. And listen, fair play to you. Nobody give you a prayer going there. But I did say to you one thing about Mayo at home. They don't have a great record, and whatever it is about them, whether it's the crowd or whether it's the occasion down there or whatever, they seem to play their best football away from home. And I really don't know where I knew where Mayo's going to go from here. They're going to have to dig very very deep to try and get something out of this. You know, I was sort of had to eat my words for a while. Armagh ripped them apart in the National League in the letter grounds in one half of football.
Mm.
I couldn't actually believe what I was looking at. The Mayo was completely all over the place,
Yeah.
And I actually said at half time it was the worst Mayo team I've seen in years, in maybe 20 or
I
25 years. You know,
I called for McStay's head as well. Fuck yeah. At halftime
so
that game.
yeah, and the game changed a bit. But look at, if I don't know, John, like Mayo were odds on favourites for that game there, and Cavan, like I said, it was a 3 point hiding. So
Mm.
look at there's a couple of teams that have got caught. There's no doubt about it. There's teams that have got a block of hard training in
Hmm.
of 5 or 6 weeks good training to get themselves ready, and there's
Yeah.
teams sitting in the long grass, and that's why I hope that we don't get too complacent now. The weekend with Derry is something similar.
Mm. Like, and it's funny, like, like the Jesus Christ, the tweets are flowing in after the game yesterday, and like people were looking for comments and reaction. But I genuinely think, Johnny, it was all set up for a giant, well, I suppose giant killing, really. Like, there was no talk about the Cavan game all week. Yeah, I think the Cavan lads obviously went away after the Tyrone game, done a block of work for about 4 or 5 weeks and worked hard, got lads back, got Paddy Lynch back. I know we're minus the service of Grove McCarran and James Smith at the minute, but got lads back, got lads kind of probably chomping at the bit, put a block of work in, knew the Tyrone game performance just definitely wouldn't have been acceptable without a shadow of a doubt. And I said it to you this morning, Johnny, like it does go to show when there's a bit of structure, the Cavan lads can play, like, and Castlebar's a serious kicking ground, and my God, Cormac Riley made light work of that. Keane Madden made light work of it. Oisin Kieran made light work of it. And as you rightly said, they just ran at Mayo. And I think was it said lads in Sunday game last night said that, instead of, Mayo doing well for the goal, I think Cavan just switched off at the end because they were just juiced, and that's how Aidan O'Shea got the goal. But like when we do get the full panel, we can be a test for most teams within this beautiful country of ours.
Oh yeah, like absolutely, and you're showing that on the range is of top quality players there that's coming through all the time. And this is a team that not that long ago, a good few of them fellas would have an Ulster medal as well. So, and the soldier now with the main man that was in goals that time. So look at they're not. Cavan's not a team that don't believe. Like I think is a more Ulsters than anybody for a start. So they're not. There's no day that Cavan's a championship team, John, and there's no day like okay, is have come out the wrong side on a few results, but it's definitely a team that we don't like seeing coming. And yourselves and Manon, for example, is another one that's always
Mm.
right down the wire. So there's a load of teams there that not fancy seeing Cavan with their tails up, and
Mm.
it's a serious result.
Mm. Yeah, no, happy out. And like, even if you look at the array of scores, the Oisin Kieran chipped in, Keane Madden, Cormac Riley, Jerry Smith with goal, Pork Fork, Kieran Brady, Keane Riley, Brian O'Connell, Paddy Lynch, Darren McVeety. Like,
10 men.
yeah, like so, like that's normally like in Christ bless and save us, like that Tyrone game just feels like a distant past now, but like it didn't happen that day. But my God, like the sun was shining down yesterday. It just looked like an incredible day for football. But no, they can be delighted. I was obviously happy for Ray because obviously he would have took a lot of slack after that Tyrone game without a shadow of a doubt. And you hear the usual stuff, what directions the Cavan team going in, and that was disgraceful against Tyrone, and like all these sort of was lazy punditry to a degree. And I don't know. I just seen it throughout the league. I know obviously league championship, completely apples and oranges, like, but Jesus Christ, when we can play, like there can be a togetherness and there can be a proper style of playing. I tell you what, Johnny, that Donegal game, I said again to you this morning that, don't be surprised if something could happen there too.
Yeah, well, look at you're playing at home for a start, and that's when is be one thing about Donegal and Cavan. There's Donegal style will suit Cavan.
Mm.
It's not a team. like one thing about Tyrone, like you can say what you want about Tyrone game,
Yeah.
but Tyrone's style of play is a lot different than Donegal, and they can hurt you, when they're on it. Like we've seen Armagh and Tyrone, we were very lucky to get out of that game. Like Tyrone have serious talented forwards, and they play a different sort of game than what Donegal is going to play. And I think you could suit us down the ground. That's going to be a phenomenal game.
Yeah.
But if you turn up in that mood there, I tell you, it's going to be you're going to fancy your chances.
Oh God, yeah.
But it's a massive game, and I suppose you probably have an excuse for the Tyrone game in the fact that Stephen O'Neill was in the background, but once a true man, always a true man. But no. On a serious note, like Throne's a very, very talented bunch, phenomenal footballers, and they were well fit to score as well, John. So it was
Mm.
probably disappointing. He's probably got caught a wee bit cold, but
Mm.
he's well up to speed now, and he's
It
take
looks like
serious
it,
confidence. Yeah, serious
but
confidence come out of that there, and the fitness out of him. The boys were still,
running.
humming. Yeah, for like the halfbacks getting up the field, the fitness there, the serious work went in there. So
Yeah.
they're going to be a match for anybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think the next couple of weeks will be very, very interesting. Ray will be delighted with it. And I think, like, even the size of Castlebar, Johnny, like, you need legs, you need to have pace and power. And my God, like, they really showed that. But I suppose, lastly, kind of, Johnny, on Mayo, I don't know. I've been saying this probably the last 2 or 3 years, Johnny, at this stage. I think they're as far away from winning an All Ireland as they ever have been. I think I look at. I think this is McStay. I think he'll see out these games, and I think the Mayo County Board will reassess. And I think this could be McStay's last stand. I just think Mayo still have a decent enough team there. Definitely not as strong as the All Ireland teams from years gone by. Like, they've lost a lot of talent from that dressing room, make no doubt about it. But look at.
So McStay's gone.
McStay's
McStay's
gone,
gone.
but there's a lot of unnecessary criticism coming into the Mayo lads, and obviously social media, and you don't want to listen to like the abuse the players do take on. But look, they're in a spot of bother. They're not going to be winning the Sam anytime soon, and I think it's maybe time to just maybe change things around and get themselves back into a even key again.
Yeah, probably a full rebuild job needed, John, and probably stop talking about Sam at this stage and just let them concentrate on football. Like they're a great footballing county, and it's a very passionate county, and but even the support as well down, like you seen there from the game the other day. The support in Mayo has even been down. Normally, even you go and play a National League game in Castlebar and be jammed out the gate, So there's something not right from on a couple of different fronts there. So, but the thing about it is, we're going to know in the next volley of games where exactly Cavan's at and where exactly Mayo's at, because maybe it's hard to judge. And that's one thing about Ray. He'll be conscious and he'll be telling the boys. He'll be saying, "Look, lads, we've got to win there. That's fine.
Park it, move on.
Park it, move on. Let's see where we are next game and see if
Mm,
that level of performance is going to be enough to do."
mm,
Because it could be just hard to gauge from that game at Mayo, because they have been so Jekyll and Haiti and more
mm,
and more hate than that. So
mm,
so it
mm.
could be just it could be just tricky, John, to
To
know exactly where we're at.
Yeah, and you know what the funny thing is, was it Dean or some of the boys were saying yesterday, like, Donegal or Mayo could go on and win their next game. Like, that's just the
Yeah.
that is the current players we're dealing with. But look, great win for Cavan, no doubt. The lads enjoyed themselves last night, well deserved points, and well done to them. And into round two, they go on to the next day out against a small proposition of Donegal in Kingsman Breffni Park. And then the last game of the weekend, Johnny, it was Clare against Down. It was Down 327. Clare 116 in Cusack Park. Ennis, very poor result for Clare. Down will be absolutely delighted with that. A long journey up to Clare. I think Peter Keane had some heated words with the journalists after the game and stuff we don't want to be hearing about, but unfortunately, heated the moment and all that kind of jazz. But he'll not be happy with that. Down will be delighted, though.
Down will be delighted. Peter Gein, I probably won't say a wee bit of comment on that. Like, nice fella,
Yeah.
you know, probably originally from Carsavine, and he does be around Kilorgan there. As a good business there, and you'd often see him out with a bib on him in the car park, and he's parking cars or whatever needs done, or helping anybody into the car or
I
whatever
think,
he has to do.
I think
Absolute gentleman.
Yeah,
You
no,
know,
I
so
think, yeah, no, I seen so. I don't know. Did you see a tweet today? But I think it was some Clare journalists had some heated words, or
I
there was
did. I
a,
seen it, and
yeah,
I thought it was. Look, I thought it was a bit cheap now. To say what to say what he said, and you
it's not
know,
true.
yeah. Well, look at it. Peter probably shouldn't react like that either. Now,
I know, like two wrongs don't make a right. Yeah, 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 yeah.
but the way it was portrayed was like, it was portrayed in the tweet that your man says cunt whenever your man said clown. Instead of just writing, he called me. He says, "Oh, you clown." But it was portrayed the other way, which wasn't fair on Peter Keane either.
You're telling me
So
there was a misleading article on Twitter, Johnny? Oh my Jesus!
yeah, clickbait as always. But yeah, you wouldn't see J Mac at that carry on. But
I'm not that fucking bad. Jesus Christ!
yeah, but yeah. So your man asked him a question. Did he think they went backwards when we took over? And yeah, he's right to call you a clown for asking that silly question. You are a clown, and I'll happily say he's a clown. He shouldn't have asked that question like that.
No,
That Collins had basically done a better job, and he brought them backwards. So what?
no.
What?
Ke-
It's
Keane's been there a couple of months. Like that's it. That
yeah,
that question's just stupid. It's a stupid question.
yeah, yeah. And in fairness, to Collins, he done a great job. He got a great note out of them. He knows the guys real well. So he's a good coach and he knows what he's about. But it wasn't fair assessment on Peter Keane. So yeah, back to the game. Conor Lavery's going to be delighted to put up a serious score, but like we've been saying this all year, but down we've seen them different times in the league. They have the
Mm.
players to put up big scores, and they're a serious running team as well. And they're very very fit, and they will cause you bother if they're let. I've been saying all year with the likes of Pat Haven, for example,
Mm.
phenomenal player,
That's
absolutely phenomenal.
is
When
he is
he
he a bit soft though, Johnny? Like, does he like kind of getting the hits to propel himself to be even a better forward? Like, I watched him closely against Donegal, and he kind of stayed out of contact, if you know what I'm saying.
well, you don't know. Like he could have been carrying a knock. He might have been. He could have been like you're at the Ulster final. Like Donegal does leave a lot on you. And especially he's going to be targeted because of the player he is. He's the main stalwart for down. Like so,
Mm.
they're going to be different guys slipping on him, and that's part and parcel of playing county football. It's a big man's game. I have no problem with it. It's fine. Um, I don't know. I've seen him playing a good few times, and he
He is
doesn't seem
class.
that
He is class. He is
he
class.
doesn't
Yeah,
seem that soft to me. And I've seen him getting belts, and I've seen him getting himself up off the ground and still putting the ball over the bar. So
he is
he's
class. Yeah,
the rules again. He's another player that the rules really suit, and he can shoot the lights out. So
yeah.
he's another example there. Daniel Guinness and these guys as well always chip in with scores, and they've a rally of lads. Very impressed actually with Brannigan that time against Donegal. I thought he got a ferocious amount of room out of wing forward and had an unbelievable game. He's another player that can cause bother if he's led and he gets all over the field. And the two of these players, the big young fella in midfield as well from Bourne. I think he's from Bourne, isn't he? No, Murdoch. Where is he from? I
Murdoch.
think
I
he
think
might
you're.
be
I think.
Bourne. I
Yeah,
think he
you're
could be
right.
Bourne. Yeah, big young fella as well. Who's getting better with more football, and he's still young. And it's the next couple of years is going to tell the story on him as well. So he can play anywhere from the half forward line to midfield to half back line. So they do have the players to cause a lot of teams bother, and listen, it's a great win. Like Conor Lavery's going to be delighted, and they
Mm.
take the 2 points and run and go on to the
Mm.
next one, John.
Mm. Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially going all the way up to Clare, that is a serious result for Down, and they will be happy men going to training this week. Make no doubt about it, Johnny. No Tailteann Cup action this weekend. We just have the All Ireland series on Saturday, the 24th of May, in the All Ireland Senior Football Championship Round One. You have your own county Armagh against Derry in the box at the Athletic Grounds at 5 p.m. And of course, game will not be live anywhere, unfortunately, but we have two other games live in GA Plus. That probably makes up for that. But you will be heading to this one, no doubt.
Oh, it'll be live for me. Yeah, I'll be at it, and I can't wait. Looking forward to it. I suppose we just get a wee bit of a hangover gone from the Ulster final. There's no doubt about it. It's disappointing. There's no time that you like. You'd like to beat Donegal or Tyrone or Cavan or any of these teams in a McKenna Cup final, never mind in an Ulster final. So it's
Yeah,
disappointing, especially for the older players not to get that Ulster title. But on the grand scheme of things, for me, it's like I says, is the big football's only starting now, so it's
yeah.
back to business.
Will it happen? Sorry to put in, but will you win an Anglo Cup?
Of course,
When?
they're going to win. Sure, how long's a piece of string? Same as Cavan's going to win one again, and Tyrone's going to win one again, and probably Donegal maybe do three in a row. But
When
who
it does
cares?
happen, it will be magic. Like when it does happen, it will. I know
Ah,
you have lost your hope in provincials, but Jesus Christ, Johnny, there's 28,000 people in the Clonus. The orange about the place. Like I know you're not a believer, but there is believers, and when it does happen, the roof will lift off the place.
yeah, but
It will.
yeah, but believers, some of these believers aren't realists, and you know, I'm not saying I wouldn't like to win it. Of course I would, but I think me and Gazer will be in the one way of thinking. There's the ultimate prize in sport, and that's all that matters.
Oh
It's the
Lord, yeah,
holy grail, and you win an Ulster and you put the medal with the rest. You know, if I give you a year, could you tell me who won an Ulster a certain year? No, but you could definitely tell me who won the All Ireland. So
yeah, true, yeah,
listen, it's coming down. It's a big versus big. That's it, and that's all that matters. Is the pinnacle of any sport, and that's why you play it. It's all about the big show, the big stuff,
mm.
and it's the big boy pants is going to have to be on now, and this is going to come helter skelter, and it's survival of the fittest. So
Mm.
it starts the weekend. I think in a way, Armagh's got a good snapshot from last weekend of a couple of big favourites have been taken out, and they're going to have to be very cautious about the way they go about their business, and they're going to have to be ruthless. They have a home game; they don't want to mess that up, and especially after the Dublin result, it's a draw would have been an amazing result for Armagh considering, but it's not a bad result either. That the favourites for the competition in Galway and a team they've got the last couple of All Ireland finals as lost the first one at home. So it frees the thing up nicely that Armagh put themselves in a serious position if they won this home game the weekend and got a couple of points on the board, and that's what I believe will happen. I think it'll be a tough game. I think Derry have got a whole load of work done.
Yeah.
Like they were late. It was a late appointment for Derry getting a man in place, and then it was sort of rushed. National League, didn't win any games. Don't think that they did that.
Who Derry? That's a great question. Derry, no. Derry, the
Don't
shocking
believe,
league. No,
don't
no, no,
believe so.
no.
Yeah, late appointment. I don't believe they won a game, and
But
like
when was the last time
Derry
Derry played?
played again Tyrone
That's 7 or 8 weeks ago, Johnny.
or Donegal, was it? I think it was
No.
Tyrone.
The- yeah, Donegal. Donegal bet them.
Donegal in the Premier Line, was it?
Derry haven't played in age, Jay. Like they're going to be mad up for this.
Yeah, listen, it's look at, but
But I
you
still
look at
think
what,
Armagh will win, though. I still think you
yeah,
guys
but
will
look,
win.
but you look at what they have, like you still have a phenomenal team there. Like
Yeah.
McCluskey, you have
McKaig's a huge
Connor,
loss.
yeah, McKaig's a big loss. You still have Brendan Rodgers there, All Star. Connor Glass, Doherty's still there. You have Park McGrogan. You go
Glass.
on, Shane McGuigan, unbelievable talent, All
McKinless.
Star.
McKinless. Poor McKinless. Yeah.
McGuinness, yeah. Like
Injured. McKinless.
just they still have a serious man. Kieran McFall, serious man as well. He's going to love this occasion. Put
It's going to
himself
be some
involved.
game. It's going to be some
It
game.
is. It's going to be some game, and it's not going to be easy. And for if Armagh fans think that Derry's just coming up for a bit of crack up to they've got a good block of training, and they're going to be targeting this game big time
Two
over
months
the last
nearly.
but they didn't know who they were going to be playing obviously, until but. they know where they're at and they know what they're going to have to do. And I'm telling you, they've caught us before, so I wouldn't be taking anything for granted with them. You
No.
know, I was saying to you, we went on a training holiday years ago, and we ended up meeting them in the back door game, and they were there as well. We actually ended up in the same hotel, and they ended up on a team night out and a few beers and gay across the wedding, and we were all laughing at them at breakfast the next day. You know, little did we know, a couple of weeks later, we ended up playing each other in the back door in Clonus, and the bet is out the gate. So who was laughing then? You know
He
what
was
I mean?
laughing. Yeah, he was laughing dead. Yeah.
Exactly, and you know, I think who was it? I think Sparky maybe got a couple of goals that day. He was swinging off the crossbar, you know. So
Oh,
Bradley,
Skinner.
oh Bradley,
Oh,
yeah.
what year was that, Johnny? I remember that. Was that 2010?
Oh, maybe 10 or 11, was
10,
it?
11, 11, I think, maybe.
Yeah, 11, yeah.
Skinner
So,
Bradley, what a fucking
yeah,
player. Yeah, Paddy
serious
Bradley.
baller, serious talent, you know. So, he might
Yeah.
even got a hat trick that day.
Yeah, I
But,
think he did, yeah.
yeah, so look, I wouldn't be taking anything for granted with Derry. And Armagh's going to have to be ruthless the weekend. But again, Armagh hasn't been betting in 70 minutes in Championship football in over 3 years. So I'll
Yeah.
be quietly confident that we'll see the game out. I don't care if it's a pint, I don't care if it's 10.
Anything. Anything.
As long as the job's done and get the hangover from the Ulster final out of the way, and like tired bodies like Donegal and Armagh. This is one thing I will say, John, just before we move on. Like them players, there was a cup on the line, and there's enough friction between both teams and both camps, and enough of everything you want to call
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah,
That Everton went in to win that game, and no,
yeah.
and they do the same for McKenna Cup, regardless of anything. So you know, they were cramping up both sets of players. They put in an awful effort in and on a serious warm day. You just don't hope that you hope for both teams that everybody's fine in the camp and getting ready for the big show, as I say.
Is there any injuries from the Armagh? Like, what's the latest talk from the Armagh talk or Armagh camp since the game and during the week and everything? Or what's the latest
If
news in
I
Armagh?
if I actually knew anything, I wouldn't tell you.
I know. Why is that?
Well, it should just it's not my place.
I
It's,
know.
yeah, look, I think they'll be fine.
No, I think his will win at the weekend. I think it'll be tight going down the stretch.
Listen, if there is a couple of niggles and guys need to be held back, whatever, you know, Armagh has a serious squad built up. They've added a couple more to the squad from last year.
Yeah.
The big man's back now doing a bit of training,
Mm.
which is great to see. I think maybe this game could come a wee bit early for him, to be honest.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but I wouldn't be surprised either if, you know,
He does.
yeah,
Has he
he's
bulked up?
moving very well.
Has Ryan bulked up a bit? Like he looks. He's added a bit of
I,
meat.
I wouldn't say bulked up. I'd say he's very lean. He's lean.
He
He's
looks
actually
it.
got. Yeah, he's a serious. Yeah, I actually think he's in better shape than last year, and
Yeah,
that's
but yeah,
he's in phenomenal shape.
but
Phenomenal shape.
even before the game, Jesus Christ, I know he didn't play like, but it just looked zoned in and ready to rock and like
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I think touch wood. I believe he's in serious good place, and he's done
good,
fair play to him. He's done great work. So.
brilliant.
Yeah, and he looks phenomenal. He looks as fresh, his eyes wide open. He looks
Yeah,
like he means business.
yeah,
And he's moving. I've seen him kicking ball up in the field. He's
mm,
just he's striking it beautifully. So
yeah.
hopefully we'll see him before long.
Mm, mm. Yeah, even you were commentating for Armagh TV last Thursday. Am I right in saying that? Um, obviously your first game of the season, and I watched the game live, and obviously good to see Reid even mixing with some of the fans after the game, and he's back in amongst. He looks kind of happy again. He looks focused again. So who knows? It could be an interesting
Yeah,
game
well,
this
and
weekend.
that's the other thing. He not be like he. I think if Giza was a wee bit worried about his fitness or worried about anything with him, this is how you know he put in the work. He would have said to him, right, get yourself a game of football there on Thursday night, or even play a half. You know, get a wee bit of game time under your belt. But he's played in-house games there and different things, and he's moving very well. So
Mm,
there's no issue with him, and they don't want him to get hurt or anything like that. So
Yeah.
He's very, very close. He was brought into the match day 30, didn't make the 26, but I'd say he could be nailed on for 26 the weekend.
Jesus, yeah. That'd be great to hear. Just a quick word before we move on, Johnny. Oisin O'Neill, Oisin Connolly, the last day, I wasn't talking to, well, of course I was talking to, but obviously not in the podcast. I think Oisin O'Neill, Oisin Connolly were absolutely exceptional. I know those finals came and went, but Jesus Christ, Johnny, they were a joy to watch. And even watching them live, I thought Connolly was exceptional last day.
Yeah, absolutely. He's on a phenomenal year. He's a guy that's went up another gear compared to last year getting an All-Star. Oisin really the same. Oisin's picked up the pieces really, and let's be honest, when rain hasn't been about, he's stood up to be counted. He's stuck his chest out, and he's done a phenomenal job. The game suits him. The 2 pointers suit him. He's a serious boot on him, and I don't know. It's probably, to be honest with you, it's probably a cross thing the way we've originally used to be coached about moving the ball and good at kicking the ball and stuff. We can there's good volley players from cross there, has no problem getting distance kicking scores, and it's we're just lucky to have that aspect of it. And Ashin's just another example of that, and Rain's the same, and another brother there, Aaron O'Neill's the same, can kick scores from 40 yards for fun, so they
Mm-hmm.
just have it in their locker. And them 2 pointers is massive, John, as we're seeing,
Mm-hmm.
especially when the game gets into the melting pot. I thought Ethan Rafferty had a serious game as
Mm-hmm.
well, and Ross McQuillan a serious year. He had a great game as well, but he's having a phenomenal year as well, along with Ashton Connehy. So yeah, look at Connehy. I haven't heard much about from the game, to be honest. I just hope he took a couple of heavy knocks. He got took out one time when he was kicking a score at the start of the game. Got an awful heavy knock. The referee missed it, and he's a strong lad, and he got up with it, and he just went on ahead. In fairness to him, but I'd say he was rightly sore after that game. So hope he didn't pick up anything. But yeah, he's had a phenomenal year. You know, Probably had to be said the last day. I'd be expecting a big game from Rory Grugan.
And Connor Turbett and Andrew Morgan. Would that be a fair thing to say?
Yeah, well, Turbott's only back. He come on as a sub, and Merlin's had a great year. Him and Merlin's been excellent so far this year, and so has Rory Grugan. But
Yeah.
the last day, they sacrificed McHugh on Grugan, and he just went everywhere with him. So
Yeah.
I'd be
I,
expecting I'd be expecting a big game out of Rory now the weekend, and he hardly ever has a bad game in the learning ground. So
yeah.
he's had a phenomenal year. He's got the new level as well. In fairness to him,
Mm-hmm.
I've been fierce impressed with him this year. And it looks like winning All Ireland has just took a weight of the world off that man's shoulders. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing him the weekend.
Yeah, yeah. Paddy Burns, obviously, the last day, Johnny, Oisin Gallen, the matchup between the pair boys, and Paddy Burns did kind of struggle. But in fairness to Burns, like he's tenacious, Johnny. Like, I don't know, have you ever marked him before, but he just doesn't, even when he's having a bit of an off game, like, he doesn't probably let the head drop.
Yeah, well, we had a couple of tussles, and he's very, very tenacious, very strong, good, honest player, nice lad. A guy that I think is needed in every team, and he like the last couple of years, you look at some of the marking jobs that man has had, and he's been phenomenal. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
marking Shane Walsh again Galway, or like one thing about Ashin Gann, I said this year before that game, like Ashin Gallen has a knack of causing Armagh bother, even though in some of his games he's underperformed there coming into play Armagh, but he always seems to play well again Armagh and cause us bother, and he done the same again, particularly in the first half of that game. He was phenomenal. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Paddy Burns has had a great last couple of years, and
Yeah.
he's a serious tenacious defender, and we're going to need him to be rock solid. He's probably won't be surprised if maybe picks up Shane McGuigan. So
Mm,
um, it'd be a tough assignment.
mm. Yeah, that'll be a very interesting game. It's an awful pity it's not on some sort of TV or Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. But look at
I'll give you a ticket again. Don't worry. I'll look after you.
I'll head down to Armagh. Jesus Christ. I'll get a nice welcome down there. Jesus, I want to see J Mac coming.
You'll be all right as long as you're not wearing your Donegal jersey this time.
Armagh get the win at the weekend.
Yeah, touch
They'll,
wood. Yeah.
they'll get the win at the weekend. And then the other games, Johnny in the All Ireland Senior Football Championship round 1 over the weekend. You've Donegal against Tyrone and Ballybuffet at 7 p.m. And the course game will be live on GA Plus.
What a humdinger of a game.
Oh,
What a
God, yeah.
humdinger. And Donegal, Jimmy winning matches is going to be the same as looking out for what happened down in Salt Hill, and he's going to be all over that like a rash, and the same as Geezer is. So they're
Jimmy
going
was
to
in
be,
Castlebar, and Maliki was.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah. Seen him with a latte in his hand. All right. But yeah, look at they're gonna have the homework done, and they're gonna get it into the boys' heads that don't be complacent. And again, they're gonna see really how they are after a tough game and the nuts of final and going to extra time. So
Mm.
they could have their own troubles and knocks and cramps, and probably has to be said a few older guys there as well. So that they might need to watch.
Mm.
And possibly might have one or two back. So listen, it's going to be a phenomenal game. They're going to be primed. They're going to be ready. Maliki's what I've got to say is hard bit of work into them boys. They'll have a
Mm.
few players back from injury. I did notice actually I met a couple of Tyrone lads, Matty Donnelly and a couple of Tyrone guys on the day of the Ulster final. I don't know where they were, but they were coming back from somewhere. They stopped off in Blaney. They're just leaving. We were going in to get something to eat before we were heading away, and they were just leaving. So they were definitely coming from somewhere. And
How do you mean? Like, drinking?
no, no, no,
Oh,
no.
sorry. A challenge match, right? Okay.
Yeah, they must have a challenge match or training day or whatever it was. No, geez, no. They were coming with coffees. They all looked fresh and they looked in good shape and all. So they were. Listen, they'll Malachy will have them prime and ready, and they'll be targeting this. They'll know that Donegal maybe done a couple of days partying after that game, and
Yeah.
and and they went to extra time and different things. So
Yeah.
it's going to be helter skelter up there, and there's never much between these two teams in Nagarwal. So
Yeah. It's gonna.
um, the only thing is Donegal's a good record up there is the only thing.
Mm.
Um, so they'll be confident. But it's
Shadow
going to be a
boxing.
good game.
Shadow boxing.
Yeah, I'm going. Listen, I'm looking forward, and I hope they absolutely battle the hell out of them.
Oh, good chance of it. Good, yeah, for us, for our point of view, anyway. Jesus Christ Almighty! And I'm presuming seeing Matty Dundee after the game, you could see kind of similarities with myself and himself, no doubt.
Sorry, yeah, I couldn't hear you there. I want to say this is something crazy coming into my ear there. Wow,
Physique, Johnny, no.
you, don't think you've seen Matty Donnelly in real life, have you?
He's an absolute animal. Johnny has bigger arms than here. He's a beast of a man. Absolute beast of a man. Who's going to win that game?
Oh, I'm gonna go to draw.
Oh, Jesus. Get off the fence. Go into the head.
No, there's not going to be much in it. I did call a draw at Galway in Dublin, and I was bang there right up until the last kick. So
I was too, yeah. Cavan, Mayo, yeah.
uh, you said you get stuffed. You're an awful man, but look at.
11-2.
I know I'm going to go with a draw. I actually think it could be the bad of the weekend. I'm going to go
Draw.
with a draw.
Absolutely. Last two games of the weekend, Johnny, you have Louth against Monaghan in St. Colleague's Park at 4:45. And of course, game will be live on GA Plus
Where is that? Newbridge?
in Newbridge for some unforeseen reason.
Newbridge or nowhere?
Christ, nowhere.
Yeah, crazy decision to bring that game there. But obviously, there's a couple of places must have been available. The Leather
I
Grounds would have been a good shout, or Park Astor would have been a good shout.
Breffney.
Casement.
This is good. I tip Monaghan for this game before we go any further. I think Louth haven't sobered up yet. Surely the boys are still on the sauce there. 68 bloody years. Holy Jesus.
Yeah, but sure, it's nearly as long since you're going to win in Castlebar. So
Well, we're probably still drinking. I wouldn't put it past them. Jesus Christ.
But yeah, look at it. I think Monaghan will have just too much about them and too streetwise, maybe for Loud. To be honest with you, even though Loud's not shabby, I'm telling you,
No.
Loud can cause you a hell of a lot of bother. They're very well organised. They've
Mm.
good forwards. You know, the rules are set up for a few of them guys to kick 2 pointers. But Monaghan's the same. Like, Monaghan is a serious squad there, and Monaghan, I think, believe is probably waiting in the long grass, and they'll have got a serious eye opener with Dublin a couple of weeks ago up there. So I think Monaghan's going to be prime for this, and they're going to be ready. They're going to target the top spot in this group.
Yeah.
Um, and I'll stick my neck out and say that Monaghan's going to get the job done.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's, yeah, I just get the fun feeling Monaghan will get the job done in that particular game. Last game of the weekend, John.
I tell you, Monaghan is a very dangerous team, and they're a team that's never far away from anybody, and they don't really get hidings,
No.
and they're a very dogged and honest team, and
Oh,
they're good,
don't you know all
strong,
about
and,
them? Yeah.
yeah, and defense is always well organised, and their team that I don't actually like everybody's playing. So
Mm,
look at I think Monaghan could surprise a lot of teams this year.
mm, yeah.
Monaghan, if Monaghan gets a wee run going, they might be far away.
I'm telling you, God only knows what could happen with the Bannigan boys in top form, and obviously Andy Bourne giving them a good hand this year. And then last game of the weekend, Johnny, it's Meath against Cork in Park Tailteann, and it will be at 3 p.m. Well, my Jesus, Johnny, I haven't heard a word from Joe Sheridan since that Leinster final. I need to check in with him. I don't know how that man's how he is at the minute after Loud winning that Leinster final, but that's an interesting game this weekend. But realistically, Johnny, neither team's going to be winning in All Ireland, so we'll wait and see how it goes.
Yeah, well, one thing about Joe, he's probably relieved now at this stage that his phone has stopped blowing up, and he stopped getting all sorts of stuff, AIs and everything flying about poor Joe. So,
I felt sorry for them the week leading. I think I said this Tuesday in the group chat. Like even the interviews he done, like there was one particular piece, like they just went on about 2010, and the last 2 or 3 minutes was about the game. Like there was a lot of shitty analysis the week leading into that Leinster final.
yeah, look at it. It's back to the clickbait again and stuff like
Shite.
that. Just nonsense, nonsense. And like, the thing about it is, you can't say anything about it, John. Like, if I say something again, your man's, let's say, whoever it is a shit article, you've all the journalists, sports journalists in the world thinking, that they're against sports journalists.
Yeah.
They're not all bloody assholes. It just takes one. You can call out a bad piece when it's a bad piece. You know what I mean? And that's, like some of the stuff that goes on is crazy. Like,
Yeah.
seriously poor stuff and immature, to be honest with you. But
Yeah.
like some of the questions these guys be throwing, I think they're watching too much sports from all around the world or whatever, and throwing stuff up like at amateur people. It's not a professional game. Like, you still have to have your wits about you and what you come out with. So
Mm.
like back to Joe. Joe didn't deserve that sort
Half
of
the stuff
carry on.
he got.
Man,
Yeah.
man put on his football boots, went out and tried his best to win a game. And
Mm.
yes, there can be a wee bit of crack and a bit of tongue and cheek about it and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So we give him enough slagging to kill anybody. But but that was all in a bit of fun. But some of the stuff had been crazy, and
Mm.
even the player, one of the lads brought the cup down and threw it over the line, like fucking
Oh,
absolute
that was ridiculous, and
fucking
that'll bite
nonsense.
loud, and that'll bite loud in the arse next year probably.
Yeah, well, the only thing about look,
But the
Loud
thing in
deserve.
sport, though, Johnny, the thing in sport, though, like, and you know better than anyone else, it always comes back to bite you in the arse. Like, you'll always get your day in the sun. I just find that.
Most teams will, and I'm not saying that it was any real malice in that. It was a bit of, again, it was a bit
Tongue in
of,
cheek.
in the spur of the moment and tongue in cheek and whatever, like, so. But one thing about Joe, what I will say is that at least it's moved on now. It's
Yeah,
done.
that's 15 years ago.
Yeah, Loud's won their Leinster now,
Yeah,
and the bygones be bygones, and the best
yeah.
team won. They were full value for it. I'm back to the game the weekend.
I
I
think
fancy
Cork.
Cork. I think Loud's going to find it difficult to pick themselves up after that. I think they would have looked at this as their main shot. I did think, to be honest with you, and I said to Bernard Flynn, I thought it was a wee bit early for this Meath team.
Mm.
That they're using things and stepping stones on the league and a real good Leinster campaign, and unlucky not to win, it has to be said, but they've put in the serious work, and Robbie's done a good job with them, Robbie Brennan. So look, I think Meath's on the up, and it's great to see, because like we badly need to see a good Meath team,
Mm.
and they're a young enough team, most of them. So I do think they're on the up, but I think it might be a wee bit soon for them, to be honest, for a crack at the big show. So
Mm.
I would think Cork might be a wee bit too streetwise, but
Mm.
sometimes Cork is funny. They're Jekyll and Hyde as well, and if
Yeah.
they decide to down tools,
Me-
but they will suit. One thing this game will suit Cork is the big men on both teams, and Cork's very very big, and it'll not annoy them the size of Meath, and
Yeah.
I think the way the two teams set up and the way they play, I think it'll suit Cork better, and I'd say Cork will get the job done.
Mm. Jesus, that'll be some result for Cork. I think definitely going down to Park Tailteann. Like, it's not an easy place to go. And look, there is that school of thought as well, Johnny, that Meath could just get the job done, blow off the cobwebs from the Leinster final, and go about their business professionally. And Robbie Brennan could have them back absolutely home this week, and Meath could just do a Meath on it like they've done all year, and get the win. Like that, it could be something as simple as that too.
It's going to be very difficult. Like there's no point in saying it's going to be the hardest. It's going to be harder than winning that Leinster. What they have to pick themselves up for, and I said it this last year when Armagh done it after Ulster, after being betting penalties, and the game that them boys produced the next game, and I knew then, I says this team could win All Ireland. I remember
Yeah.
saying to you, I says this team could win All Ireland here, and I was that confident. I'd be hotel booked in Carrickdale, and you know,
Stay
needless
in
to
it.
say,
You went home, I think, didn't you? Or did you stay in that
needless,
night? No, or did you?
needless to say, I want to do the same again, but they didn't fall for the same trick as last year. There's them all black books, so there's no book in the Carrickdale this time around.
Oh, you've somewhere booked in Dublin, don't you? For this weekend, for the
Yeah,
All Ireland.
yeah, yeah, yeah. The night before All Ireland, well, I go to Dublin anyway, regardless if
You're
we're in
booked
it.
in anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, we like to go to the All Ireland final anyway, so we like it's a
Yeah.
great night in Dublin, night before the All Ireland, bit of a tradition. But
Yeah.
yeah, look it's going to be very difficult for Meath to pick themselves up after that, and
Mm.
I think they really believed, and everybody in Meath really believed they were going to win it.
Mm.
And it's a big body blow for them. I just don't think they've been round enough corners yet, experience wise, to get over something like that. I think it's still a wee bit too fresh.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it'll be a serious job by Robbie Brandon if he can pull this one off the weekend.
Yeah. Yeah. And he easily could. He easily could. He easily could for the manager he is. Johnny Murtagh, absolute pleasure. Players to watch this weekend, bet of the weekend, gamble responsibly.
Yeah, well, like I said, I think that Donegal and Tyrone draw, to be serious value on that. I'm not sure what it is, but I think there could be a bit of value there. Player to watch the weekend. Wow. I'm not gonna go with anybody from Armagh, I don't think. I don't think it's fair, is it, John?
It's all about here about all week, so just change it up for once, will you?
I'll tell you what, tell you what, you pick one of the games and I'll give you a player. How's that?
Right, I'll go through all four. Right, I'll go through all four games, and
No,
you can.
pick one. You can pick one. You can pick one.
Right, Donegal Tyrone.
I don't think all Tyrone. It's going to be too defensive. I'll tell you what. I'll go with a player to watch the weekend. I'm going to go with Monaghan,
Flanagan.
and I. No, well, Branigan's an obvious choice because he's a phenomenal game all the time.
Jesus Christ, he's having some season, yeah.
Yeah, phenomenal player. I'm going to go with Carlo or what do you call the other halfback?
Uh,
Oh, Conor McCarthy.
oh, what a man. Yeah. Yeah. You,
I think he's gonna have a massive game the weekend.
you coached Flanagan for a while. Did you see this, I suppose, form coming in the last year or so?
I didn't see enough of him now, to be honest. He was with Monaghan, but
The pitch you did
yeah,
see, if any.
yeah. I've always kept a close eye on him, anyhow, and
Christ, he's having some season.
he's no, this is just the way he handles himself, and he's a leader, and
Yeah,
he's a born captain,
yeah,
and he's always been that next level, and back again to the rules, to suit him. He can score from distance. He's very unselfish. He can see things inside. He's a playmaker, and he's a serious engine. Um, he'd probably he'd be up there with Sean O'Shea as a centre half forward. That's how good he is, up at that level.
yeah, yeah. He's having a hell of a season.
And
He's
another guy to look out for on the QT will be Stephen Mooney. I've said this before on the podcast. He's a guy to have a wee eye out for the weekend as well.
What's his club? Who's he play for?
For Clonmartin.
You would coach against him?
Not really. No, wouldn't have coached against him, but seen him operating from. I keep a good eye on modern football anyway, and I go to a few games.
Yeah.
And he's a phenomenal young player. I've watched him play with modern 20s as well. Phenomenal player. And if he starts the weekend, he'd be very dangerous. So that's Stephen Mooney.
Stephen Mooney, yeah, absolutely. Well, I'll throw my hat into the ring. I think I probably would follow your advice. Jesus Christ, Johnny, it's funny. All 4 games, like, of course, this would not happen, but you could nearly say 4 draws. They are all very hard to call, and of course that'll not happen. But there's always one draw, isn't there? Normally, I think. Let me see. They're Louth, Monaghan, me, and Cork. Yeah, Louth and Monaghan. I'll go Donegal and Tyrone. Jesus, imagine Tyrone could beat Donegal. Yeah, Donegal, Tyrone to end the draw, I would be thinking. And then maybe a player to watch this weekend. I'll go with, let me see, for Jesus, you kind of overthink these things, wouldn't you? I'll go with I might go with Bannigan there for Monaghan just for the crack, just to see how he's fixed after Monaghan getting bet in Ulster. We'll just see how that man's form is.
Yeah, like Jesus, you pick the man who gets seven and a half or 8 every game. Like
every game, yeah, he's exciting. In fairness, and I know they're noisy neighbours, but Mr. Bannigan and Mr. Gabriel Bannigan, you pair of boys are doing great work for the Monaghan lads. Make no doubt about it. Christ bless, it kills me to say that, but Cesar, you're doing great work. Johnny Morton.
And great work for Activate as well. A shout out to them. Great work for Activate. Leo Brannigan, top man with Activate, yeah.
Activate, oh gee. And who, Manzi? No, who else? Enda Brendan was telling me this. There's someone, Manzi? No. Rory Brennan Rory Began doing a bit for
Rory Began, yeah.
Rory Began doing a bit for Activate as well. So jobs, the boys are getting looked after. It's great to see. Well, Johnny Morton.
They're very active.
Any club games this weekend, or do you have a break? Or are you going to let that body rest of yours?
Yeah, no, with the game there on yesterday, so we've next week off, so that's good.
This weekend off.
Yeah, okay. Thank God. So the seniors is playing, so I'll probably go. I'll go to that.
Commentating, I probably too bit.
Well, it depends if it's on Armagh TV or not. Haven't heard yet. But I really enjoyed doing the game there with Armagh Harps and Cross, and we got to win. So it's good to get a couple of points in the board. So all good in Armagh. And with the weather, she couldn't beat it. It's been brilliant, and I'm really enjoying playing. Like I said, the rules are suiting me. So
yeah,
keep it rolling, John. Keep it rolling.
We still want to get rid of the 2-pointers.
To be honest, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll still get 7 or 8 anyway. So
I was waiting for the punchline. You were always the top man at the punchline. Well, Johnny Murder, an absolute pleasure. Thanks a million for joining me this week. And of course, the podcast is kindly brought to you by yourgarage.com. Use my promo code podcast to get 15% off on the website. Johnny Murder, the very best luck this weekend. Enjoy the games. Looking forward to it. Take care.
Thanks, J Mac. Yep. Slán agus Bannock.